Good morning, everyone. Before we start, I would like to give thanks to the International Institute of Academic Research and Publications for giving me the opportunity to present my study. So before we start, I would like to give some information about myself. So I am Miss Jevilyn Pas-iwen, and I am a registered criminologist, and I work as a professor at the College of Criminal Justice Education at the University of the Cordilleras. I obtained my bachelor's degree in criminology year 2013 and Master of Science in Criminal Justice with a specialization in criminology year 2017 from the University of the Cordilleras. And lastly, I am pursuing my doctorate of philosophy in criminal justice with a specialization in criminology from the same university. So let me start with my presentation with my study entitled Violence Against Women, a Study on Cases Filed and Disengagement. I would like to present first the abstract of my study. The prevalence of violence against women is observed in the recent years, yet there has been a low rate of prosecution and conviction of perpetrators because of attrition and disengagement after the filing of the case, taking into consideration that the victim's participation and cooperation are essential in the administration of justice. With this, the study aims to determine the difference in the proportion of cases and understand the reasons of victim disengagement using a quantitative study, specifically the triangulation method. So findings suggest that there is a significant difference in the proportion of cases handled by the prosecutor and police level, which was computed using the z-test. This implies that not all reported cases achieve a successful prosecution. The study also used a t-test to sample assuming unequal variance, wherein the results show that there is no significant difference in the weighted mean of the respondents, which denotes that similar reasons are encountered, may it be on the police or prosecutor's level. Concerning reasons for victim disengagement, the respondents encounters family intervention, reconciliation, child-related reasons, and lack of financial support that halters the processing of violence against women cases. To sum it up, the difference in the proportion of cases and the reasons for victim disengagement boils down to the high valuation of the family that often leads to the over-reliance on the mediation process, repeating or resulting in repeated victimization and not pursuing of cases. Next is the introduction. So in the introduction, evidence of research shows the prevalence of violence against women, wherein they term it as the iceberg of domestic violence, according to Grosha E. 2004. The United Nations defines violence against women as an act of gender-based violence that results in or is likely to result in physical, sexual, or mental harm or suffering to the woman. Added by Pelt and 2000 that spouses are extremely vulnerable to anger from the other spouse. Women are more likely to become victims of domestic violence, but once they have experienced it, their chances of becoming repeated victims are much higher compared to men, as cited by Humphreys 2019. In the literature review, it discusses the victim retraction and disengagement. It is a significant issue in the successful prosecution of IPV cases, which creates a justice gap, which refers to the high proportion of cases reported to the police that drop out at various points in the system, which is also known as the attrition. Police officers also conduct arrests if may have been indicated a more serious crimes, and factors to be considered are severity of crime and the presence of children, presence of injunction, and victim injury. In the Philippines, World Economic Forum 2013, as cited by Clamor 2018, stated that it ranked as fifth out of 144 countries in terms of gender equality, but in contrary, 19% of women have experienced physical or sexual violence, yet only 6% report to a formal source. So in the city of Baguio alone, there is an alarming increase in the number of violent cases committed against women in the last 3 years, with a recorded 66 cases from January to October, an 11% increase from the previous years, 59 cases. So let me reiterate the problem of the study, which is to identify the significant difference in the proportion of cases reported in the police level and cases filed in the prosecution level and the cases dismissed. Also, to determine if there is a significant difference in the level of agreement of the respondents in terms of reasons of victims' disengagement in violence against women cases as perceived by the police personnel and prosecutor. So the research design that I have used is a quantitative study, specifically triangulation method. The triangulation method design is a one-phase design in which researchers implemented the quantitative and qualitative methods during the same time frame with equal weight. So the triangulation method is used also to focus on the reasons of victim disengagement in the police and prosecutors level. With regards to the research instrument, the study made use of a questionnaire wherein data are gathered from the police and prosecutor's office, specifically the number of cases of violence against women in the city of Baguio from year 2019 to 2021. It also includes the nature of abuse, the current status, the reasons of victim disengagement from the police and prosecutors level. It also made use of an unstructured interview guide to corroborate the findings of this study. In terms of population of the study, the researcher used total enumeration wherein it composes of 72 respondents. 52 respondents coming from the Baguio City Police Office, Women and Children Protection Desk, and public prosecutors wherein it is composed of 20 respondent. In the treatment of data, it made use of Spearman-Brown formula for the reliability testing, the Z-test formula for testing the significant proportion of cases handled by the police and prosecutors level, and the T-test also is used for the reasons of disengagement coming from the police and public prosecutors. With the results and discussion, it shows that 54% of unsuccessful prosecutions were due to either victim retraction, victim non-attendance, or evidence of the victim not supporting the case, which supports the findings of the study, wherein it shows that the number of cases being filed by the police officers and being dismissed in the prosecutor's level very shows a great discrepancy. This implies that despite the high number of cases being reported and filed, it does not account to successful prosecution. The table also shows that the proportion of filed cases is equal to 30.20% is lower than the cases being reported, which is 69.80%. It is also significant in the cases filed in the prosecution level, wherein the cases filed is 27.55 and the dismissed cases is 72.45%, which implies that the decrease is statistically significant as indicated by the p-value, which is lower than the significant level of 0.05, or to sum it up, the null hypothesis is rejected. In terms of the reasons of victim disengagement, based on the result of the t-test, it shows that the null hypothesis cannot be rejected. So this means that there is no significant difference on the result coming from the police and public prosecutors. When it comes to the reasons as perceived by the police officers and prosecutors, it boils down to over-reliance on mediation and family-related issues like child-related concerns and lack of financial support. As a conclusion, based on the findings of the study, victims disengage in the case filing, which affects the investigation and prosecution of the case, resulting to unsuccessful conviction of perpetrators. The reasons of victim disengagement boils down to the high valuation of family in the Philippine culture, why women stays in abusive relationship, which shows that there is an awareness and misconceptions despite the different laws that aims to protect the women and their children. The victims initially seek help from the family members, which result to over-reliance on mediation process. Lastly, victim feels they have received justice if they are already liberated from the relationship, and thus pursuing cases is not necessary, which is rooted in the misunderstanding or non-appreciation of the process of CGS. With that, I would like to end my presentation with the acknowledgement for the College of Criminal Justice Education of the University of the Cordilleras, and to add my humble gratitude to Police Captain Malia Alog for the time and effort in giving assistance to the researcher, also to the police personnel of BCPO, WCPD, and public prosecutors assigned in the Justice Hall of Baguio City. Thank you.